welcome back to my channel. You're probably not going to be able to hear me too well because I'm going to be doing some welding on this here frame. So what I'm doing now is I got it all mocked up. The motor mounts are in its place of where it's going to be. I had to modify the back bar behind the seat to repurpose it for a motor mount bar, and then I made some gusset tabs and some motor mounts to put on the back of it. So we're starting with the mounting of front bottom side of the motor, and then we're going to set the pitch of the motor in the angle that it needs to be in for proper oil flow and all that. And I may have to run a bigger, well, actually a longer chain to be able to get the full capacity of the motor. I'm hoping I don't have to get to that point. So hang tight. I'm going to let the video roll, and I'm going to do some welding and try to get much done and get much captured as I can today. So give me a thumbs up, give me some likes, guys. I could use it. You know, when you hit that like button, you're telling a person thank you on YouTube for taking their time out of their day to make something happen. So I'm not going to go into a million, ways why, whatever, this and that. But it's the right thing to do. If you're one, I'm going to get to work and try to get some work done. I'll show you guys what I did. And keep in mind, guys, I'm not a welder by trade, so. But if you take a look, I think I did pretty well. You can tell it's not not a professional that welded it, but it's in there solid. She ain't going to go nowhere. I trust my welds good enough. So that's what I'm welding in. I got another one on the other side, but I ain't got that much gas left. See, I'm running that generator over there to run my welder. So this is just to get it in the ballpark. So I'm gonna let that cool down, so that way I could knock off this strap here, so I can put the other one on the other side. Then I'll run that bolt through it, so that way I know exactly where that needs to go. So then I have to move that end of the strap back here to hold the tail end of the motor up, because then I gotta measure my rear support for the motor, which is this bar right here. Can't do it now because it's locked in there. There's going to be a bar here on this side and a bar here on this side, and I'm running them both up here, and that'll keep that back of the motor from bouncing up and down. And then we'll run me a support from here out to this bar up here, and same thing on the other side. That'll keep the motor from fishtailing in the back. And as you can see, that chain's on there pretty straight. I don't think that's going to go anywhere. And the rear axle is hanging down, so I think there's going to be plenty of chain. So with it fully extended, the chain is going to be, you know, tightened up like that. When the body comes down onto the axle, the chain is going to loosen up, so don't want that too tight. Then, actually, I should get to working on the motor mounts for up top here. That will keep that motor straight up in the air. Then I'll do that other one down there on the bottom other side. So that's what I got going on. I'm going to pause the video. I know you guys hate it, but I have to pause the video. There's not much room on my phone to be able to keep the time clicking and doing the time lapse and all that good stuff. I'm not rich like that. So hang tight. I'll try to grab everything as I can so you guys can see. So in the first video, what I showed, I'm going to sit down here and take me a break for a minute. My back's killing me. So I'll use my pen and point out. So what I did for this type of buggy, other buggies might be a little different. So with the Hammerhead GTS 150, this is what you're going to look at. And it looks like I can use the original shocks. So that's not going to be a problem. They had an adjuster down there at the bottom. I took it off of that top one there and dropped it down. What I've done here is I took all these 3 bolts out, those 3 bolts out, and in order to get your brake disc to be able to pass this here, you got to take all the bolts out. It allows this to move just enough to be able to get out of the way of over here. But the first thing you're going to do is slide, once you get all those bolts out, push them bearings out of the way. You're going to get this axle to come this way, down out the opening, and then come over here, and you're going to pull that axle out from underneath and pull it out here and slide it this way. It has, this is a smaller diameter than what this is, so it allows it to go this way and drop out. Once you do that, you flip the axle over and reverse what you did. So you'll put this end on first and get it up into, it's a fork, and then push this down and under and pull it up. Then you can put your disc brake back on. I didn't have to touch my sprocket. So these right here I got from Electric Power Chair. They were the armrest, and they are really, really strong, and they hold up to weather. So these have been sitting outside for probably about 10 years and shows no sign of rust or stress. So that's awesome. So the actual padding for one of those chairs is going to be my elbow pad for in between the center console. You know, it's going to be right in between the seats. Those dang on things, they're weatherproof. The leather seats, the leather armrest, they do not crack. They do not anything. They do not dry rot. Those things, you can leave them outside forever, and it does not cause any harm. I wish I knew the company that produces that fabric. So if you ever wonder why a power chair costs so much, it's because of quality of material. So again, this is from the armrest. I got two of those. So this is going on one side, this is going on the other. So you can already see it has, right there, you can see it has a hole to be able to put the original bolt through. And it's going to do the same thing over here on this side. So that's where this is. I had to take out this whole rear section right here that connects into here. So I may put additional set of shocks from here up to here to that where that link used to be to part of the suspension. So that'll be here to here to give it extra support. So if I'm hitting some hills, it's not going to flex as easy. And if you hit a hard bump, it's not going to be able to throw the rear up into the motor. But if it's not going to be a problem, then I'll utilize that for something else. And this as well. So maybe like some kind of tow bar back here. Yeah, that you can lay it down when you want to use it. When you ain't using it, you can bring it up here and fasten it up here to the rack. So haven't got that far yet, but you can see what I've gotten so far. So hang tight. So going back together looks original, just like I wanted it to. So with the 230 Suzuki semi-automatic, doesn't require a clutch cable. So this worked out for the better. I learned that on an accident here. So you can see how well that fits in there. It's nice and level. And the crank will be able to get the oil that's necessary. The chain is on there nice and good. Got the axle facing over this way, so it's on the right side of the motor. I was able to put this back on, part of the original suspension. So you'll start to see some things that are different. So for the upper rear motor mount, this is what I done here. And then I drilled the two holes here. You can see them right there on each side. So I don't have any nuts for them yet, but I had to make it like that because if I ever have to pull the motor out, if I weld those in, I ain't gonna be able to pull them out. There's just no room down there to be able to pull the motor. So at least with this, I take those two nuts off, take that one bolt out, take those two bars off, and the motor mount's gone. Then I just pull this Allen bolt out, this Allen bolt out, loosen these two up down here at the bottom, loosen those two up, slide this whole entire thing back, lay that down on the ground, take the 2 bolts out for the shocks. The whole rear drops down and gives me all the room in the world to be able to pull that motor out of there. And you can see how nice and straight that is, you know, with the chain and everything. Well, there it is. So you can see how nice and straight that is. Just going straight up to the motor, so there's not going to be any problem there. So the reason why that chain is really tight right now, I mean, it's really not that bad. I mean, it's got some play there. But the reason why it's tight is because the suspension is fully extracted. So I was either going to put this back half back on, or I was going to run a shock from here back to here. So I go from here to here. But I'm going to hold off on that and see how it handles first before going that route, because I may not need it. If I do, for stiffer suspension, then yeah, I would just connect from there down to here. Take this guy out of the way. I want to clean this up. I want to fix this. You can see somebody left some welding wire behind. It was nice of them in case I run out. My welds are not the greatest, but they work out. They do a good job. You can see it's straight. Well, straight there. Right at the tip of my finger, you can see my weld. So, not too bad. That motor is definitely not going anywhere. That bad boy is in. There's going to be some issues here because the motor is no longer out in the front and getting exposed to the elements for cool air to get those fins in there to surround that case to keep it cool. So I'm looking at plenty of room over here. I'm going to put a fan, or I'm going to run some air vents out the sides so it directs the air in behind and across the sides of the motor. So I put quite a bit of work into this. So I've just been doing this in the background. So I'm just trying to point out some things that'll help you out. So those power chairs, those medical power chairs, these right here are from the armrest. It's pretty thick steel. They're strong. They're rated up to 300 pounds of a person pushing on them. So I felt comfortable being able to use those. The only thing I could possibly see to be a problem is this right here. But I can always put a triangle on top and a triangle down at the bottom. And that'll help strengthen that area. I don't see that being a problem, but I'm going to go the little additional extra mile. I'm going to possibly do something about it as far as taking it from about here and maybe bringing it up here to this part here. Go from here into here. So that way it helps supports it, keeps it in its, keep the back of the motor from fishtailing. I want to put a brace in between these two so they don't flip-flop around. If I try to mount any of that to back here, this is going to be going up and down, so that's not going to be ideal. So you want your motor to stay stationary with the rest of the buggy and not with the rear suspension. But as you can see, I got that really, really damn close of being manufactured straight. I mean, I don't think I could have gone wrong. That looks right on the money. The motor is directly right down the center of the buggy. You can see right there the valve cover, the inspection cover for the valve adjustment. So I guess the next thing would be is to get this thing to start up. So that's going to be in the next video. We're going to do a startup. I want to hear this thing crank over. I want to see what it's able to do. And then we're going to push forward. I was only told that it runs, but I don't know how long ago that was. So I don't know about you guys. I've had a long day today. I've been out here since 7 o'clock this morning. And well, you can see my little welding setup over there. My welder, my generator I got to use to be able to operate the welder. We just don't have that much current coming out the box over here. But those are the wheels that are going to go onto here. But the problem is they welded the hubs on here, even though it has a nut and cotter pin. So I'm not sure why that is. Maybe because these splines are torn up. They're stripped. So I think what I'm going to do in order to make those wheels fit, I'm going to cut that off to get not the axle, but the axle hub. I'm just going to cut the welds and then get those hubs off, and then use the hubs that are over here and mount them on so I can put those big tires in the back. So once we get it up and running, we got the wheels on in the back, we can drop the back down and get to the front and start working on the front suspension, doing a suspension swap. So there's still quite a bit left to be done on this. Even though I'm this close, I still got to pull half of this back out and drop the motor so I can fully weld the motor mounts. This bar I had to cut and drop down that's up there in the front behind the seat. It's not fully welded in yet, so it's there just strong enough to hold everything. So yep, you guys want to stay tuned. I'm almost there. You guys going to let me know what you think in the comment section. You guys enjoy, you have a good day, and hope to see you guys come back. Hope to see some likes and thumbs up. Have a good one. Thanks for watching.